go back to the days of my poor councilman who finally resigned for a while, running his restaurant around. You got to learn to appreciate all it takes. You have to demand you deserve. Right?
Delfino? Hi. There are some boxes and things back here, like the gift bags and things. It says United Airlines on it.
Mr. Mayor, before you start the meeting, can you take general public comment first, please?
Yeah, later on.
As a reasonable accommodations? Pardon me? Well, I'm just making a request.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. All right. I'll now call to order the special city council meeting. City Clerk Duarte, will you please call roll?
Councilmember Ashton,
Present.
Councilmember Frometa,
Present.
Councilmember Saab,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Pacheco,
Present.
and Mayor Rodriguez.
Here. I'll now call for the invocation. Tina Galvez. Please rise. Thank you, Alex.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to read a scripture before we start this meeting. It comes from Romans 13, verse 1. For there is no authority except from God, and those which exist have been put in place by God. Let us pray. Gracious God, we enter into your presence, giving you thanks for these men and women who you have placed into office to oversee this city. We ask that you direct the decisions made by these leaders, that you will give these men and women discernment, understanding, and knowledge as long as they remain in office, so the stability of Downey will long continue. So far, Downey has been known as a city of good reputation, and we pray that it will continue as such. We pray that these who oversee will be just and have the courage to be uncompromisingly righteous in your sight. We ask for your protection over the men and women in our police and fire departments. And finally, we ask for godly wisdom to enter into the heart of Downey leaders so they may rule with integrity. In the matchless name of Jesus, we ask these things. Amen.
Great job. Thank you. I would now like to call up Ethan Alexander for our flag salute.
Please stand. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job, Ethan. Good job.
That threw me off.
Are we doing okay? That's what I thought.
All right, well, welcome this evening. Starting off with city council member announcements, requests for future agenda items, and conference and meeting reports. Starting to my extreme left with my big little brother, Councilman Alex Saab.
Welcome everyone. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nice to see the council chambers full. It seems like we haven't been here in quite a while. Every once in a while, we don't meet for 3 weeks. It's the way the calendar works. We meet on the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month, and because of the way the calendar worked, we hadn't met in 3 weeks. So nice to be back. Few people I do want to recognize in the audience. Planning Commissioner Noveras Frometa here in the audience. Welcome. Thank you for your service. Also, the Chamber of Commerce Executive Director Michael Calvert popped in at the end. And then we have a superstar volunteer in the audience wearing green right in the middle, trying to hide. We have Roy Beard, CERT extraordinaire volunteer, all things. Welcome, Roy. And then I do want to recognize a friend of mine is in the audience. I know she's here regarding one of the items presentations, but Dr. Connie Quintero here in the audience. Welcome. I'll keep my comments as brief as possible because I know we have a lot of presentations. I hope many of you were able to see Channel 5. I think it was last week, 2 weeks ago, with Gail on the Go. Was at the Space Center, highlighting some, obviously our Space Center, and also an incredible exhibit called Women in Apollo. And I'm sure our fellow council members, Councilmember Frometa and Pacheco, will talk about it. But I just want to thank our director there, Ben, who did a great job representing our city, the Space Center. And it's nice to finally see, the Space Center become that regional draw as far as all things space. So thank you to Channel 5 for highlighting our Space Center, and also Ben and also our council members who were there on that date. Just a couple items. Everyone's invited from the public. May 22nd is the Coffee with a Cop at Starbucks on Imperial and in Paramount. We all saw in the news the last week, the worst of humanity, the tragedy that happened over on Paramount. But we also saw the best of humanity, and we also saw the people wearing the uniform or the badge, not just Downey, but from across the southeast area in LA County, running to the scene and doing what they have to do without a bit of pause whatsoever. So this is a great opportunity to once again have an interaction with the police department or police officers. Ask questions, bring your kids, make sure that so that they learn that our police are our friends. They're here to help and they're here to serve. And it's just a good opportunity. And once again, the value of having our own police department, that's what this is all about. So I invite all of you to go. There'll be free coffee. I believe it'll be free coffee, right, Chief? There'll be free coffee. If not, I just blew it. It'll be on me, I guess. So it'll be May 22nd at the Starbucks on Imperial and Paramount. And then lastly, don't forget, Memorial Day is in a couple weeks, May 27th. Every year, the cemetery trustee board, which is a separate entity of the city, holds a Memorial Day event at 11 a.m. at the cemetery. For those of you who may not know, we have a cemetery in Downey. It's on Gardendale and Lakewood. And it's a great, nice event to commemorate all those who have paid the ultimate price, have fallen on the line of duty and whatnot. So everyone is invited. And that concludes, and I also want to give a shout out to saw the First Lady of the city, Lupe, walk in somewhere. I saw her, Lupe Rodriguez. There she is. Lupe. And Adrian. That concludes my comments, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Saab, for the kind comments. Moving on, Councilmember Claudia Frometa.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everybody. It's always nice to see such a full house on a Tuesday evening. We really appreciate everybody being here tonight. I often say that engaged communities make for a strong community, and certainly as we continue to move with our various construction projects and various changes throughout our community with our library, our parks, and all of the elements the moving parts going on in our city. We really appreciate you coming and engaging with us. As my colleague, Councilmember Saab, indicated a few moments ago, we have a very busy evening tonight, so I do want to make my comments brief. I want to welcome the First Lady of our city, Lupe Rodriguez. Welcome tonight. I want to welcome my husband and Planning Commissioner Noveres Frometa to the council meeting tonight. Also, Roy Beard, thank you for being here this evening. And we have typically a very busy day, very busy evening as a council, and we are very fortunate. We are very blessed to be able to be in these seats, serving you. That is really what we do, and we are fortunate to be able to run to many events throughout our city. And I had the pleasure a couple of weeks ago on April 27th to attend the Downey First Day of Service, and this was a big project that our mayor put together, and I will let him speak about that during his comments session. But it was a very successful event, and I was very proud and very pleased to be a part of that. I also attended the Ricky Galvez Scholarship Gala on May 3rd, and this was also in remembrance to our fallen police officer, Ricky Galvez. There were several scholarship recipients from our Downey schools that were in attendance. We had a very successful Downey Street Fair on May 4th, as well as our Assistance League of Downey, Assistine's annual tea and fashion show. May 9th, we had our Downey Coordinating Volunteer Gala. And this is where 24 of our most active community volunteer organizations came together. And it is really such a phenomenal thing to see so many people that continue to give back to this community. Many of our council colleagues were in attendance at that event, and during the invocation, it was said that Downey is a strong community. And again, Downey has such a strong reputation. As we attend various events outside of Downey, we are often praised because, wow, you are from Downey. You know, and Downey is such a great city. We can't control events that happen or people that do horrific things. It is really beyond our control. But we can control what we do in this community. And we can control the process that we follow and the type of community that we want to continue to have. And so it was a pleasure to be there. I want to let you know that there's several events coming up, so please check our website. But there's a couple of really good events that I would like you to keep in mind. The Downey Foundation for Educational Opportunities is going to have their end of the year concerts. And if you're not familiar with the Downey Foundation, please visit their website. They're on their third year, and this provides opportunities for our students at the elementary and middle school level to go into music and theater and dance and be able to do things that otherwise would not be available to them. And their end of the year concerts are coming up at the theater, our Downey Theater, May 15th, May 20th, and May 22nd. Tickets are only $5. And so these students have worked really hard. They pay a very small fee to be able to receive violin lessons, guitar lessons, dance, and also soccer lessons or sports activities. But their concerts are coming up, as I said, at our Downey Theater. Lastly, one of the things that Mayor Pro Tem Pacheco and I are very excited about is our very first Girls on Fire summer program. And this is a project that Mayor Pro Tem Pacheco are very, very excited about. For the first time in our city, this city is putting together a summer camp. It's a three-day, half-day summer camp for young girls from 6th grade through 12th grade, and it's going to be held at the Downey Theater. And we're going to focus on mental health awareness, physical health, self-esteem, and other issues that are so important. These are pivotal years in our young girls' lives. And so we want to be able to come together with leaders in our community and offer a lot of really great workshops. The summer program is free, and we will be leading that program, and you can find out more information on our website, our cityofdowney.org website, but that is coming up July 29th through the 31st, July 29th, 31st this summer. So please, spots are filling up. It's 100 spots available, and we have already 40 people, 40 young ladies registered. So looking forward to that. And Mr. Mayor, that will conclude my comments tonight.
Thank you, Claudia. Moving to my right, Councilman Sean Ashton.
Good evening, everyone. It's good to see a packed house tonight, so I appreciate you taking your time out of your busy schedules to be here and listen to us rant for a couple of hours, so thank you for that. With that, I attended a few events. First of all, I had my Coffee with the Council Member event this past Saturday. For those of you that were able to make it, I thank you very much for coming. I would also like to thank the Executive Director from the Clean Power Alliance, Ted Bardecki, who came to talk to the people as well in regards to the new community choice aggregate electrical program that we have in the city of Downey that for residents started in February. So if you take a close look at your Edison bill, you'll notice that there's kind of two separate bills now. So that was something that the city council worked on. We started looking into it around April of 2017, and we decided to join the Clean Power Alliance, which was started with the LA County, and it's 30 other cities and the county of LA and the county of Ventura as well. That's part of this. It's the largest community choice aggregate program in the state. And basically what we're able to do with this is we're able to purchase power at a little bit of a cheaper cost and provide that savings to you if you want to go with something that's less renewable. If you want to have a better a cleaner footprint as far as your electrical consumption, you can go with the optional 100% renewable plan as well. That's a little bit of a premium, but those options are available. But for those of you that came out, thank you so much for that. Past week, a week ago, I attended the Southern California Association of Governments General Assembly and Regional Council meeting out in it was in Palm Desert, and one of the events that I had the opportunity to attend was the Traffic Safety Leadership Symposium. So this is basically taking a look at how we can improve our safety standards, and when you're looking at the cause of accidents and the cause of fatal accidents, a couple of things stand out. It's distracted driving and speed. And so when we're looking at how, and personally, I've had to learn to put my phone away. That's been a tough thing for me, but I make sure that I'm doing that now. And being cautious of your speed is something that it's very easy to look at when you have kind of wider streets. It's kind of that effect where you feel that, on a wider street, it's safer, you can go a little bit faster, and they're realizing that some of these designs with the open streets is actually causing more harm than what it's good for. So you're starting to see other areas, if you've been in downtown LA, where they've kind of narrowed the streets a bit, so that way it keeps you at a slower speed, and those are the types of things that they were kind of discussing at this event as well. With that, I know we have a couple events coming up. You've probably seen a lot of the construction that's starting already. I know Apollo Park, right by my house, they've started putting fencing up to start with the construction. We're going to be having a groundbreaking tomorrow at Apollo Park at 3 p.m. and groundbreaking at Dennis Jimenez Park at 4 p.m. tomorrow, if you would like to come by and get an idea of what's going to be happening at those parks. We'd love to have you there as well. But just keep in mind that throughout the next year and a half, 2 years, there's going to be a lot of construction going on. And if there's a concern that you have, whether this park, what time, this park's going to be going under construction, please reach out to any of us here on the council. We want to make sure that we give you the most updated information as far as what's going on in the city. I did have one other event coming up. This Saturday is the Keep Downey Beautiful cleanup. So it will be this Saturday at 9 in the morning, and we will be at the Denny's restaurant. So if you have the opportunity to spend an hour or so cleaning up and helping your community, we'd greatly appreciate it. I did have one item for staff. One of the articles I happened to read in the Downey Patriot a week or two ago was about the county's decision to close Los Padrinos Juvenile Hall. I would like to see if we can set up a subcommittee to see how we can work with the county to, see what's going to be going there to replace that, or what assistance we can give to the county to help make the best use of that property going forward. So if that's something if we could have that set up, So with that, that concludes my comments. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Sean. Moving on to Mayor Pro Tem Blanca Pacheco.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I want to start off by thanking everyone for being here today. I do want to recognize my mother, who's in the back. Hi, Mom. To all the mothers out there, happy Mother's Day. Yesterday was Mother's Day. Lupe, happy Mother's Day. Since I know two of us have already acknowledged your presence, I just wanted to also acknowledge your presence. So happy Mother's Day, Lupe. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. And to all the amazing women here who are mothers, happy Mother's Day as well. I hope everyone had a great day yesterday, or actually 2 days ago. Some events that I attended, I also had the pleasure of attending the Downey One Day of Service, and it was a well-attended event. I see many Kiwanians out there. Raise your hand if you're a Kiwanian.
Raise your voice if you're a Kiwanian.
And this was a well-attended event. We had a lot of members in the community come out and do this one day of service. And it's just a prime example of how great our city is and how greatly involved our city is. And I do want to acknowledge our Kiwanis Lieutenant Governor Eric Pierce, who was also in attendance. And I also want to also acknowledge our Downey High School Kiwans advisor in the back, Mr. Kiwanis. Thank you all for being here. It's truly amazing, and I truly appreciate all the work that you put into our community. Again, this is what makes Downey such a wonderful and great city. Also, I had the pleasure of attending the Ricky Galvez Scholarship Gala brought on by Gangs Out of Downey on May 3rd. And like was previously mentioned, Councilwoman Claudia Fermetta and I, we were at the Space Center bright and early last Thursday morning for the Gale on the Go, Channel 5 News, promoting a new exhibit featuring women of Apollo. This exhibit celebrates the 50th anniversary of the Apollo 11 mission, putting the first man on the moon. The exhibit opens this Saturday, and it's from noon to 2 p.m. Is that correct? 10:30 to 12:30. So please come out to the Space Center this Saturday. Also, this past Saturday, I had the pleasure of attending the Gangs Out of Downey Kids and Cops event. And there was a lot of middle school and elementary school children at this event. They had an opportunity to play with our police officers and get to know our police officers a lot more. It was a lot of fun. I did want to acknowledge our police chief was also in attendance. So I want to thank you. I know Friday night with everything that was going on, it was a little hectic. I know you didn't get much sleep, so I truly appreciate that you and also our Downey police officers who worked late the previous night were there, and I truly appreciate that. Thank you. Let's give them a round of applause. And like Councilwoman Claudia Fermetta had mentioned, we do have a Girls on Fire program happening this year. This will be the first time that it happens. 3-day event. It is open to all middle school and high school students who reside here in Downey or attend school here in Downey. So please spread the word. This will be a great event. And we're both looking forward to meeting the young ladies who participate and helping them and motivate them to continue successful careers in middle school and in high school, which, like Councilwoman Claudia can attest, they were difficult for all of us during those times, the growing pains, as they say. So that concludes my comments. And again, I just want to thank everyone for being here tonight. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Blanca. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for allowing me to sit in this seat. And I want to just share a few things. In the past 2 weeks, we've had a lot of things going on in our city in conjunction with the construction and all the things you see going on. We, as a council, really launched our best efforts for the spirit of volunteerism. And so, on the Downey One Day of Service, we had 400 people gather at El Rancho facility, and then we had 200 other volunteers out in the field, planting trees, painting walls, helping people, you name it, throughout our city. We had 1 day of volunteer service. All the volunteer service clubs were out there. We couldn't be more proud. We've been asked already, as of last night, the clergy council asked if we do it again before the end of the year. So I saw poor Judy, she had her eyes not that big. But we, as my colleagues mentioned, that's the city, that's who we are. Along with, on the heels of that, we had our National Day of Prayer right outside our city hall, greatly attended. Churches of all faith came out to celebrate the National Day of Prayer, as well as Saturday before last, we had our LA Foster and Adoptive event. For the first time in the history of our city, we were able to gather 490 adults that were interested in adoptive or foster care with children. We have 180. The group that was there organizing everything, along with us and DCFS and the nonprofit group that was there, they told me that this is the largest number they've had in the state. Downey was able to assemble the largest number ever. They were expecting 200, and we brought almost 500 people. And out of that group, over 77 people went through backgrounds, live scans, to talk about adoptive or foster care to help our Downey kids that happen to fall into the foster care system or happen to go into the adoptive care system, but they get to stay here in our city. So I'm very proud of that. And then this Monday, part of my the Pathway to Success initiative I started with our high school. You know, in our city, 96% of our kids graduate, and half of those kids go out to four-year college. We have the other half, some that don't graduate, and the other half that kind of just maybe will join the military, or maybe will take a part-time job somewhere in our city, or maybe not do anything. But I wanted to give every student, every senior, an opportunity to succeed. So Monday I had a lunch with the mayor. And that meeting, by the way, John, I paid for myself, not the city. Just, yeah. So I had invited our business owners like Downey Nissan. I invited Cerritos College, Dr. Fierro, the CEO of Cerritos College, his foundation people, my good friend Dennis Saab, and we came and we met with business owners, donors, people that could help with internship, with donation for scholarships. And then we crafted the idea of scholarships for a 2-year degree, so anybody that wanted to apply for it that met the curriculum could apply and be successful and go to junior college right here, close by, a few miles away, for free. The only thing is, they gotta make the grade and they gotta show up. So I've always said they've gotta earn their stripes. So I was very proud that we were successful in doing that. So now every kid within our school system, Downey, Warren, Columbus, and all the private schools in our city will have every opportunity. No one can say, I never had a chance in our city. So I'm very proud of that lunch on Monday. Lastly, I just want to recognize our police department. Chief, I have to tell you, this was a tough time for our police department. It was tough because all over the world they heard the word Downey and Downey Police Department and car chase and shooting. All over the country, all over the world. And I got text messages from people that I haven't heard from years, and they all said the same thing. What a great job Downey PD did. How professional they are. And I have to tell you, as the mayor of the city, thank you very much. Thank you, and as I text you that day, please tell them, job well done. They made all of us look great, and from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. And lastly, I'll just tell you that you might notice tomorrow our flags will be at half-staff tomorrow in recognition for the fallen officers throughout America. This is Law Enforcement Week, and our flags will be at half-staff tomorrow, so just in case. Okay, let's do some presentations. Okay, we're going to start off with the Mayor's Servant Heart Award. And this council meeting, my Mayor's Servant Heart Award is going to Deanna May Baliscao. Now, stand right here. Get over here. Get over here. Stand right here. So if you're standing, I'm assuming you're involved with the key wins of Downey. Is that correct? Yes. Right? So ladies and gentlemen, those of you who don't know, these are the future leaders of Downey. These people now, they donate their time, effort, energy. I call them the ants of our city because they can lift their weight. They're always available. They're always around. And so I want to recognize these people. Our city wouldn't be what it is without these high school kids that want to make a difference. So thank you. Thank you very much. All right. You can sit down now. You can sit down now. Okay. Okay, so to help me with this Mayor Servant Heart Award, I want to call my good friend, Lieutenant Governor Eric Pierce.
So I call the Q-Wins a little army because that's basically what they are. They're just miniature troops ready to serve whenever you need them. If you're a nonprofit and you need some manpower for, feeding the homeless or assembling care packages or planting trees, and you need some help, you call the Q-Wins. That's what they do. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure if you give them some shovels and some hard hats, they'll probably be out there filling the potholes if you wanted them to. I mean, they're very capable of doing anything. But as you know, every army needs, in order to be effective, an army needs a very capable leader. And that's where Diana comes in. As Lieutenant Governor, she's been their leader. She inspires them to serve. And I want to point out that she's a Downey High School student, but as Lieutenant Governor, she oversees students from various high schools within the region. So this past year, she was leading, I will probably say several hundred students, if not more. And she was leading by example. She wasn't the type of person who would tell people what to do. She would show up and lead by example. And I think you can see it by the turnout today that they really bought into her vision and they really supported her. And it says a lot about Diana. So on behalf of Kiwanis and Q-Wins and the City of Downey, I want to thank you, Diana, for everything that you did for your high school and for your community. You really made a big impact, and you represented the City of Downey very well, so thank you so much. And thank you, Mr. Mayor, for allowing this public presentation. Thank you.
You can help me.
Sure.
So you hold that. Not yet. We're not ready yet. We're not ready yet. I got to get one first. All right. So Diana May Balescao. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes.
Okay. On behalf of the citizens of Downey, in recognition of your efforts, selfless dedication, and always going above and beyond for others, your heartfelt efforts and accomplishments have been an enormous value to our community and have helped to further the common goal of making our city a better place for all. Given this day of May by me, the mayor. That's right. So this is the mayor's county corner, right? Only people like you get it. Handshake. And then, on top of that, you get a city pin.
Oh,
L-O-V-E,
we love Diana B. L-O-V-E, we love Diana B.
Right on.
Thank you so much.
Okay, get up there.
Sorry, I'm a little short. But this is such an incredible honor, Mayor Rick Rodriguez. This year, honestly, definitely would not have been possible without all of my supporters, my parents, all the people, the city, and our high school, Downey High School. There's so much that we've accomplished this year, from our Walk for Water, raising $15,000 to raise 2 wells. To build 2 wells in a developing country, and it's such an amazing thing to have, and to know that we were able to impact people not only in our local community, but in our community, not here, obviously, in Africa and in Latin America. It's so incredible to know that we were able to be a part of that. And I want to thank everyone here tonight that came to support me. Thank you. And to those that supported me throughout my whole term in service, it means so much. And this is for you, because my year wouldn't have been possible without each and every one of you guys. So thank you.
good. All right. A lot of feel-good stuff tonight. So now, this meeting's Downey's Finest Award goes to Kathleen Van Ray. Is Kathleen here somewhere? Come on up here. Right here. So, the person who nominated Kathleen asked to remain anonymous, but she did write a little something that she asked me to read for her. When I first met Kathleen, I was a bit frightened by her. She was so intense that I wondered what I had done to upset her. I remember one day venting to a coworker about how bossy Kathleen was. The coworker looked at me and looked kind of funny when I was talking to her, but also seemed to smile. Well, come to find out, that person that I was talking to was Kathleen's mother. I quickly resorted to hiding from both of them and staying out of sight. A few months later, I ran into Kathleen at a National Night Out event. After talking and laughing with her over shared popcorn, I knew right then and there that I found my kindred spirit and new friend. Kathleen is amazing because no matter how busy she is, she will always help you find your way. She'll give you the answer to the same question. You have asked her many times before. Take the time to teach you until you understand. On many late nights, I have waved goodbye while she let's see here. As she listens to her music and works all through these huge stacks of papers on her desk, always with a smile on her face. Kathleen is awesome. Kathleen is truly Downey's finest. Always smile when I walk. So, Kathleen. Jay, what does Jay stand for? Jeanette. Kathleen Van Ray. We have a citizen of Downey. We have an unsung hero. Your extraordinary, everyday effort. Your commitment to excellence. In your work. All while being humble. In your actions. That makes you Downey's finest. Thank you for furthering our common goal. Our city a better place for all. A better place for all. Given this day, Mayor. That's all. And then this is yours. If you were ready to hold it.
Well, I can say this is for me. I do have to concede the fact that it's not the first time I've been called a bully. And I did get that from my mother, so she probably thought that was pretty funny. I do enjoy, and I can say that I couldn't do all the things were said about me without my family, city. And when I talk about family, I'm talking about all departments, all over the city. They help me. I help them. We do what we do. The citizens of the city. And that's where we get our blessings. When we give to you, we're giving to God for. So everything I eat here in the city is in your best interest. I know all of my coworkers operate the city. So to get this award, I really had to let you guys know that all 75 people in my group deserve the same award.
I'd like to call up our team cert participants, or actually rack tea coat, and you and the fire chief. You guys want to come up and help me with this?
I too am short.
Thank you for having me.
My name is Rakti Clerk. I am the city's emergency manager, and it's a great honor to be here this evening. This room is mainly full, I feel like, because of Teen Cert. Who's here for Teen Cert? Raise your hand. Oh, so I filled up this part. All right. Well, I'll take credit for that part. No. So this year's Teen Cert program was through Downey High School, and we saw a total of 68 graduates. Teen Cert focuses on leadership while teaching young adults about disaster preparedness. This program was made possible because of Chris Zhao, who is the sports medicine teacher at Downey High School. Yes, just clap there. The training itself is actually at least 21 hours, and he's managed to incorporate this through his curriculum. And so my office, Downey's Office of Emergency Management, what we do is we go in and we help to provide the fire and search and rescue equipments that the school doesn't have to complete the training. This is made possible with our CERT volunteers, who Roy was already mentioned, but I also want to acknowledge the other volunteers who's here. I have Hector Hernandez. Raise your hand, Hector. Hector helped to complete the training where we did the fire suppression, and we did the fire suppression and search and rescue component. We also had Donna Voth, Rudy Sandoval, and Alex Fagundo, who's not here, but I wanted to acknowledge them. In addition, I know that 14 of the students of the school also helped to assist with the trainings throughout the year and on that day as well. So other things, I also want to just acknowledge the school. Downey High School administration has always been supportive of the program. Connie, so thank you so much. And also the school district. Before we bring out the students to take their photos and Chris to come out and maybe say a few words, I just want to mention we do offer the CERT training again in the fall, and we also have one in June for our Spanish speakers. June 21 to 23rd. If you want information, the pamphlet's back there. And that's about it. So Chris, why don't you come on up? And why don't say a few words, and then we'll bring the students up.
Well, thank you very much. I'm truly blessed to be working with great students that I have, and that couldn't happen without the partnership with the City of Downey and the school. Like Rakti said, we get tremendous support from our administration, and it's a really, really good class, and they seem to enjoy it, I hope. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Okay, with that, all the students who graduated from the Teen Cert program, my CERT volunteers, please come on up. Come on up. Connie, this is the moment. I don't know where Connie is. Oh, we'll try to. Still a lot of us. Well, I mean, there's more. Okay. Like making them short.
We can push this back if it's in the way. There you go. giving the teacher.
So, sweet. To you. Okay. Okay. So for the proclamation for Foster Care Awareness Month, can I please call my friend Jennifer Lopez up? What? The real J-Lo. She doesn't. Oh, all right. Let's stand by. Yeah. They're all looking for J-Lo. Come on out, J-Lo. So this is the Foster Care Awareness Month, May, and so we here in the city are proclaiming that it's Foster Care Awareness Month, whereas the primary goal of the foster care system is to ensure the safety and well-being of children while working to provide a safe, loving, and permanent home for each child. And whereas approximately 437,000 children are in foster care, with 30,000 children living in LA County. And whereas foster parents are the frontline caregivers for children who cannot safely remain with their biological parents. And foster parents provide physical care, emotional support, educational advocacy for the children in their care, and the largest single source of families providing permanent homes for children transitioning from foster care to adoption. And whereas children in foster care who are placed with relatives compared to children placed with non-relatives have more stability, including fewer changes in placements, have more positive perception of their placements, are more likely to be placed with their siblings, and demonstrate fewer behavioral problems. And whereas all children deserve a safe, loving, and permanent home, now I, Rick Rodriguez, being the mayor for the city of Downey, do hereby designate May as a Foster Care Awareness Month to provide an opportunity to acknowledge the accomplishment of the child welfare workforce, foster parents, the that's a tough word to say. There you go, you got it. Community and the mentors for the dedication and accomplishments and their positive impact in the lives of children. So, to accept the award is my friend Jennifer Lopez.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think they just like my name. But I would like to call Sandra Lozano. Come on up, and Raul Perez. So I've worked in a lot of cities in my many, many years with DCFS, and I really have to say that Downey has to be the best. So I want to commend you all. Yeah! Gone to many, many council meetings in big cities, small cities, and Downey is just, it's incredible. I feel like I want to move here. But these are two of my supervisor and managers who help. And what I want to say is this award, I want to thank the council, but this award really goes to all the foster parents. Yeah. This award is to the hundreds and hundreds of foster parents, relative caregivers. When we have a tough job, so if any of you want to be social workers, please come and join our department after you get your college degrees. It's a very rewarding job. It's very difficult to remove children from their parents. It's not an easy job. But when we do remove them, when circumstances don't allow us to do anything else, we at least want to put them in a good foster home and with good relatives. So on behalf of the director of DCFS, Mr. Cagle, all of the community, the Santa Fe Springs office, we want to thank the city council and the mayor for this very nice award. We really appreciate it, and we will give this message out at our next community meeting. We will share this with all of our foster parents to say it's from the city of Downey. So we appreciate you guys very much, and thank you so much again. Thank you. We'd love to have this so we can give it to the DCFS director.
Yeah. Okay. So our next proclamation is for the American Public Works Week. Delfino Kansuji, could you please come up? So May 19th to 25th of 2019 is National Public Works Week. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities, and to the public health and high quality of life and well-being of the residents of the city of Downey. And whereas it is a public interest for our citizens, civic leaders, children in Downey to gain knowledge of and to maintain progressive interest and the understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. Whereas the American Public Works Association has celebrated an annual National Public Work Week since 1960. And therefore, I, Rick Rodriguez, Mayor of the City of Downey, do hereby designate May 19th to 25th, 2019 as National Public Works Week. I urge all people to join with the representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies, activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions that they make protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. If I may, I would like to invite Ed Norris, Deputy Director of Public Works and last year's recipient of the Public Works Employee of the Year Award, to join me in accepting this proclamation. Since 1960, the American Public Works Association, or APWA, has celebrated National Public Works Week. This year, Public Works Week is celebrated from May 19th through the 25th. All across the United States, more than 30,000 members use this week to educate the public on the importance of public works projects and how public works professionals improve the everyday quality of life of the citizens of their communities. Here in Downey, Public Works is comprised of 4 divisions: administration, engineering, maintenance services, and utilities, consisting of 84 full-time and part-time employees. Administration oversees the day-to-day operations and is responsible for preparing and monitoring the department's annual operating and capital improvement program, or CIP, budget. The division seeks grant funding opportunities and coordinates environmental events such as Cleanup Saturdays, Arbor Day, mulch giveaway and paper shredding events, used oil recycling, e-waste collection days, and so forth. Engineering is responsible for design, construction, and inspection of public works projects. These include rehabilitation of streets and bridges, reconstruction of curb, gutter, sidewalks, and ADA access ramps, installation of traffic signals, and traffic safety enhancements, and construction of park improvements. Maintenance Services is responsible for maintenance of the city's infrastructure, buildings, and facilities. These include fixing potholes, maintaining traffic signals, installing signs, striping, and pavement markers, maintaining parks, landscape medians, and parkways, and abating graffiti. The division is also tasked with maintaining the city's fleet vehicles. The Utilities Division is responsible for operating and maintaining the city's water, sewer, and storm drain systems. The division oversees implementation and compliance efforts related to the city's stormwater program. Just to highlight some of the things that we do on a daily basis, we maintain 227 miles of roadways, 276 miles of water mains, 187 miles of sewer mains, 33 miles of storm drain lines, 110 traffic signals, 5,200 street lights, 16,000 trees, and 112 acres of parklands. This year alone, Public Works completed more than $10 million in capital improvements. None of these would have been possible without dedication and hard work of our Public Works staff, and of course, direction and support from the City Council, the City Manager, and other departments. On behalf of Public Works, we would like to thank the Mayor and the City Council for this recognition.
around. Wait, don't go away, don't wait. I'm gonna call you back anyways. So on May 5th through May 11th in 2019 is the Municipal Clerks Week. Whereas the office of the municipal clerk, a time-honored, a vital part of our local government, exists throughout the world. And whereas the office of the municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants. And whereas the office of municipal clerk provides a professional link between the citizens, local governing bodies, and agencies to government at all levels. Whereas the municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions in local government and community. Whereas it is appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the municipal clerk. Now, therefore, I, Rick Rodriguez, Mayor of the City of Downey, do recognize the week of May 5th through May 11th as the Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our city clerk, Maria Alicia Duarte, and all the municipal clerks for their vital service they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. Ladies. Can you say a few words? A speech? Go ahead. I know you got a speech.
I will. Thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council, for recognizing Municipal Clerks Week. I would like to also thank our city manager, our city attorney, and assistant city manager for their continued support of the city clerk's office. Some of the duties of the city clerk's office include administering city elections, maintaining city records, and overseeing compliance of the Political Reform Act, the Brown Act, and the Public Records Act to ensure transparency to the public. Tonight, I would also like to thank my deputy city clerk, Yolanda Chavez, for her hard work and dedication in the office. Thank you.
So now the time we've all been waiting for, the last presentation. I know you guys are presentation out. So Los Angeles County Office of Education, the GAIN Division. If I can call Eileen Arancibia up to help me.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, City of Downey council members, for your time. I'm representing today Los Angeles County Office of Education GAIN Division. My name's Eileen. I'm one of the specialists here. We're actually here in Downey, headquarters in Downey, and what we do is basically we help people get back to work. Right? We do amazing things. And the reason why I'm here is because I wanted to share with you guys the amazing things that we've been doing in this last year. So just quick little reference, GAIN is Greater Avenues for Independence. What we basically do is help people get back on their feet who are currently receiving welfare. And so get them into vocational trainings, get them the skills that they need to accomplish other type of courses or industry of work that they may be wanting to pursue. As well, getting them some certificates, and with something that we, LACO, what we do special is in the short-term training, we have facilitators like myself. What we do is we teach soft skills, so we teach them, good attitude, good presentation skills, accountability, responsibility. How many of you like working with people who have a good attitude? Yeah, me too, right? So we try to project those type of wonderful skills, responsibility, appreciation, acceptance. So we do all these wonderful things in the community. So again, we're here at headquarters in Downey, and we work throughout all LA County, as noted, Los Angeles County Office of Education. We help people who are mainly up our population from GAIN is a lot of single parents. Anybody single parents or co-parents? Yeah, thank you, me too, awesome. So we give strides for them, we really reward them, we really motivate them. We do have a quick video, and thank you again for your time just listening to what we do. And just a friendly reminder, we're here in Downey. We're right off of Imperial and Bellflower. You guys know where Stocks is, restaurant? Okay, right across the street from Stocks, or that little catty corner of Jack in the Box. That's where we're at. So if you ever need, help or any questions, my name's Eileen. I work at LACO, and my colleague, Miss Cynthia Preciado. So thank you guys, and I'd love you to watch this video. Thank you.
We're celebrating the second annual LACO Gain High School Equivalency Graduation. We're so proud of our graduates. This will give them a fresh start to the beginning of a new career.
Oh boy, I don't even know where to start. Excited. I'm really happy. These are happy tears. I pushed her, and I just want to let everyone know you guys are great. Continue to do good things, and no matter what, keep pushing.
Yo soy Joan Durán y yo soy la intérprete de español-inglés de Manuel de Artes Culinarias. Lo que tiene especial este curso es que permite a los estudiantes tener su intérprete en su idioma natal, ya sea español, ya sea francés, ya sea en árabe o farsi. Es lo que hace especial a este curso.
You want to came all this way, gotta get a picture. Come on out. One tall on each side. All right, let's take a 5-minute break. I don't know if we can do that. Can we do that? Yeah, okay. What? For veterans, we bend the rules sometimes, for veterans.
Supposed to.
You talk, right? You got free speech, go ahead.
All right, just wanted to introduce myself really quick. My name is Nelson Martinez. I'm a retired Master Sergeant. I served in the Air Force for 26 years. I'm also a part of Courage Forward. But it's not about me today. I want to recognize an individual that's very, very important to me, to my family, and actually to the city of Downey. So let me just read what I have to say. And this was just put together. So my apologies. City Council members, staff, and visitors, I would like to recognize someone who has dedicated so much of his time towards the city of Downey, and also to the men, actually to the city of Downey that he adores, and to the men and women in uniform, as well as the youth that are about to make career changes in their way of life, enlisting them in military service. He is a strong supporter of the military and a key person in our veteran organization, Courage Forward. So with that said, here is a token of my appreciation. I'm going to read it. It says, to all who read this, and this is actually from the 46th Expeditionary Attack Squadron, Ali Al Salim Air Base, Kuwait, in which actually I just arrived from the Middle East as a contractor. To all who read this, let it be known that this American flag was flown on a combat mission to an undisclosed location on the 16th day of March 2019 aboard a United Kingdom MQ-9 Reaper, tail 12-4707. This mission successfully flew and launched weapons in support of operations by American and coalition forces as we persecute the war on terrorism. This flag is hereby presented to Mayor Rick Rodriguez for outstanding support to the nation and our brothers and sisters in arms. Please do.
All right, let's take a break.
Congratulations.
Let's get started again. That's public hearing. There's one public hearing tonight. Federal Community Development Block Grant and Home Investment Partnership Grants, FY 2019-20, Annual Action Plan, Community Development. Number one, authorize the city manager to submit and the document and the required certification to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and modify and execute each agreement and/or contract related to the implementation and the administration of the Community Development Block Grant and Home Investment Partnership Grant Program, including the subrecipient grant agreements based on the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development's appropriation to the city. The hour have arrived. The public hearing is now open. City Clerk, do we have any proof of publication?
Yes, Mayor.
Is there a motion and second to receive and file?
Second.
So ordered by the mayor. City Clerk, have you received any correspondence in this matter?
We have not, Mayor.
Assistant City Manager Ascui, is there a staff report?
Mr. Mayor, Community Development Director Mr. Schindler will present the item to you tonight.
Thank you, Assistant City Manager. Good evening, Mayor and council members. So once again, we're in front of you to present the CDBG and home budgets. This is an annual requirement of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, known as HUD. And this functions as our annual application for our CDBG home and fund budget. A part of the process is outreach to the community, and we started that outreach on February 12th of this year with a public hearing. We then subsequently had 4 community meetings to present the CDBG program and to solicit input from the community. We marketed those meetings through the Downey Patriot, the city's Twitter account, the city's Facebook account, the city's website, and paper flyers were distributed through all of the community centers. In terms of our 2019-2020 budget, we're receiving a reduction in funds in both programs. Over the years, we've averaged approximately a 5 to 6% budget cut. Last year was an anomaly. We actually got an increase of 9.16%, but once again, the trends are starting to revert back to history in terms of budget deficits. And so the decrease this year in the CDBG funds is 0.56, and that equals $5,954 to that program. And on the home funds, the decrease is 4.77%, and the value in terms of dollars is $22,065. Those decreases aren't going to affect our public service providers, and we'll talk about that in a couple slides. We're going to absorb that through city services and any administrative services in both of the budgets so that we don't affect our community service providers. Here's our pie chart in terms of our funding distribution for our CDBG program. We have our administrative funds, we have our public service funds, as I mentioned, and we'll talk about in a short bit. We also fund code enforcement and then housing and other activities. The other activities are our Section 108 programs. We apply for and receive loans that we use for economic development and for public infrastructure, and then we have to pay those back from HUD. The best example of that is back in August of last year, we pulled a $3 million loan to help with the construction build-out of the Rancho South Campus Sports Complex, which was recently approved by the Board of Supervisors, and so we'll be working with the county to get the contractor to finish his designs, submit his construction drawings, work through plan check with the goal of getting a groundbreaking at the end of this year or the beginning of next year. The home program, the specific difference between the home program and the CDBG program, the home program can only be used to fund housing activities. And so we use that to fund our homeless rental voucher program. We use it to fund our housing rehab program as well, where we provide for aging in place opportunities for our residents with accessibility improvements in terms of grab bars and kitchens and bathrooms, and also exterior facade improvements to those homes. We used it for projects such as the Downey View and also the Habitat for Humanity project that was recently built off of Elm Street. This is the meat of our CDBG program, and that's our public services programming. This is the monies that go to the community service providers to assist our residents in our community. As you can see, the Barbara J. Riley Community Center, that's the only line item that's going to receive a decrease in funds, and that difference is $1,521. And that's where we look to absorb any of the funding decreases so we don't affect the other community service providers. And so what we're recommending tonight is that we level fund those service providers. Those service providers are providing excellent service to our low to moderate income individuals within our community. They're providing the outreach and meeting their goals. We monitor them on a quarterly basis. HUD monitors the entire program on an annual basis, and everybody's meeting their marks. In addition to those service providers, we also received applications from 3 others. We received an application request from Courage Forward for $75,000, and that's to provide outreach and transitional services to young veterans. We received an application from Nicholas Luna Health Insurance for $2,050, and that's to provide community workshops to provide connections to better access to medical insurance and healthcare education. And we also received an application from the Los Angeles Center for Alcohol and Drug Abuse, and they provide residents, mainly homeless residents, with substance abuse assistance and transitional housing. They requested $15,000 for their application. A lot of those services we're already providing either in partnership or either through our CDBG and home funding. And so once again, because our list of existing service providers are doing such a great job, our suggestion is that we continue to level fund them and also avoid to decrease their funding in light of the federal government's funding decreases to the program. This last slide shows a percentage of the CDBG funds to an agency's budget. You'll see that percentage varies. The majority of programs that we fund receive funding from multiple sources. They rely on the CDBG funding from us as they rely on funding from other government entities and other nonprofits to provide their services. So with that, that concludes my presentation, and I'm here to attempt to answer any questions that you might have.
Any of my council colleagues have any questions or comments?
No, it's always a tough one, but you know the funds are limited. And we've gone down this path before, so I'm glad at least we're not cutting. Other years we've had to cut.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Aldo. No questions.
Thank you. So I'll now open this item for public comment. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak regarding this matter?
Shut it down.
Welcome, Mr.
Shut
Herman.
it down.
Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Shut it down. Why am I saying this, ladies and gentlemen? Because the total expenses of 20%, 11% go to the city. General public funds and code enforcement. Why would you need code enforcement if you're trying to help people with housing? This is why. Because you need more speech. HUD at 9.16% increase, but you repeat it yourself, although with the declaration that we're still negative. And that report, bullshit report, reflects that, ladies and gentlemen. Numbers only reflect lies. Lie after lie, Mr. Mayor Rodriguez. And you should know better. And for this reason, I'm telling you, we should call home 626-586-1602. I ask you, the public, residents who care about the public's interest in housing, so that you don't have to receive another hidden tax rate. What are you paying for, ladies and gentlemen? You work your butts off all your life to pay for people who are homeless in your streets? One day, one of you will be in the street. You will have a lien on your property. The mayor will order the threat management unit to put a temporary restraining order on you, and you can't go into your home. Now you're homeless. Now you're living under these HUD conditions because the federal government is not aware of the stealing, the corruption, and the potential for money laundering through nonprofits. FBI investigated Los Angeles because Jose Huizar was on a plum committee which were building homes for the homeless. And they used the mixed use to build affordable housing at 20% for people who are rent control or need affordable housing, and you got at the end. So let me tell you about a personal experience with Telecare in Norwalk. Telecare in Norwalk says they're out to help people who are experiencing homeless. You don't fucking experience homeless. You become homeless by design. And that design impacts everyone's community. For that reason, you see people homeless living in your community. So if you wish to do more, speak up. More speech. Less speech means we're being suppressed and censored, like on agenda item 15 of this agenda later on during the administrative report, in which I wish to speak and be heard. Because again, if you call 213-974-1411 and you ask Janice Hahn, where the fuck's the money? $916 million unaccounted for homeless people in America. Just in California, Nancy Pelosi. And yet the great Gavin Newsom and the County Board of Supervisor Kings went to Washington this week, and they deliberately didn't want to face the fact that the LA Times report said, for the record, you spent $177 million on homeless people? Do you see the dent? Have you seen a dent? You see the people living in our streets. It's not because they're asking for you to feel sorry. You brought it up right now. People experiencing drug abuse, people having conditions of mental health, people having a history of no work. But yet I have to go and advocacy in Pasadena, Cerritos, Los Angeles, and come back to my community, and I still see homeless people, Mr. Mayor. You save one person, Mr. Mayor, you've done nothing good in the eyes of God. Jesus saved the world by one sacrifice, himself, so that you can redeem yourself, Mr. Mayor, redeem yourself and save free speech. We want more speech, and again, I'll say it over and over, HUD sucks.
Thank you, Mr. Herman, and God bless you. Anybody else? I will entertain a motion and second to close public
we got
hearing.
one more coming up.
Excuse me, pardon me. I didn't see you guys. No? Okay, all right. Somebody else? Come on up, please. Yes. Oh, okay. No, we'll have time for that later. This is just for this matter. Anybody else? Okay, I'll now entertain
public comment.
Okay. Motion. Can I finish? I will entertain a motion and second to close public hearing.
We did that.
Okay, you were just talking so fast I couldn't. Okay.
Mr. Ashton made the motion, I'll second.
There you go. Thank you. Sorted by the mayor. Is there a motion and second to approve staff's recommendation? Please vote.
We need a second.
Second. I second.
There you go. Please vote.
The motion was approved unanimously.
Okay, now it's time for non-agenda public comment. Now is the time for non-agenda public comment. Before we begin the non-agenda public comment period, I'd like to remind members of the audience of the city's meeting rules contained in the Downey Municipal Code. Members of the audience who wish to address City Council during a non-agenda public comment are prohibited from engaging in any conduct that disrupts or interferes with the meeting, such as yelling, screaming, cheering, or whistling. If a speaker engages in conduct that disrupts or interferes with the meeting, I will ask the Assistant City Manager to have the speaker removed from the chambers until the end of non-agenda public comment period. I remind speakers that each person has 5 minutes to speak on non-agenda items and your comments must be addressed to me and not any other member of staff or council member. Please state your name for the record. Those wishing to speak may now come forward.
Ralph M. Brown. Law
Welcome, Mr. Herman.
enforcement and agencies and officers who under the TMU, Threat Management Unit, and the TRO, Temporary Restraining Order, are required to make appropriate efforts to determine whether perceived strange or disruptive behavior, which some call me, is the result of a disability. Is it, Mr. Saab? What about you, Ms. Pacheco? Is it true that the result of one's disability is a result of retaliation? Let me read to you for the record. Stay away order may not disclose the address or describe the protected employee's personal residence. Then why would you put your name and number and address on a letterhead stating that you live in Pasadena? In other words, the resident now may go to Los Angeles City offices and to attend council committee meetings, but must maintain not less than 10 yards distance from protected employee.
Oh, I'm really afraid of the gentleman because he raises his voice and tells people where I live.
Well, you're a public figure. And figure it out. You, the resident, you, the stakeholders, you, the taxpayers in the state of California, have every right to find out what people are doing in their community. When attorneys steal in our community, shouldn't we know that? And shouldn't we go back to their community and let their council know that you have an active criminal attorney participating in racketeering? So this is why I brought Brandenburg versus Ohio 1969 as a reminder. And no offense to anyone, if I did, if I could is an opinion. How far is the nigger going? This is what we are going to do to the niggers. A dirty nigger. Send the Jews back to Israel, Eric Garcetti. Let's give them back to the dark garden of the LLCs. To save America from the transgressions of inappropriateness, to suppress our free speech by public comment. Bury the niggers. We intend to do our part. Give us our state rights, Pelosi. Give us our state's rights, Dianne Feinstein. Give us our rights, Mr. Mayor Rick Rodriguez. We intend to do our part as citizens and approach this podium as though we are the legislative body here in control. 54950 to 54963 ETSEQ. Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Freedom for whites. Freedom for people like me who have a disability, whether or not you perceive it a disability or not. So now you say to me, in many words, this is a stay away order. The same order Mr. Rodriguez is planning to do on the administrative report on item 15. Suppress your free speech. Take your rights away from public meetings and suppress. Why, Mr. Rodriguez? I thought you believed in the American dream. You save people through prayer. Don't belittle God's name in vain. For God is the most high authority, the Alpha, the Omega. And I have been called in Pasadena a Cretan, evil. And by the name of one God, the sovereignty of only one God, I look forward for the day for this world to come to an end, so that you may know who my God that I speak about. Because I plan to go to hell and be buried 6 feet 6 inches and 6 millimeters with every maggot you can think of, because the city, the democracy, and our local government in Sacramento are out of control. 42 USC, Mr. Mayor, politely, with no discretion, fuck you.
Mr. Herman, God bless you. Thank you for your comment.
You're welcome, sir.
No problem.
Good job.
Yes, sir. Anybody else? Would like to come up and yell at me and cuss at me and call me names? Come on up. Come on up.
Good evening, Mayor.
Except for Mr. Saab.
My name is Mary Lauer. I'm from the Downey High School Football Boosters.
Welcome, ma'am.
And
Welcome.
we are here tonight about the Circus Vargas.
Okay.
Our procedure to receive approval from the Planning Commission started back in March of this year. On May 1st, we received approval to have our carnival held at Downey High School over Memorial Day weekend, which is May 24th through the 27th. On the 2nd, we received notice that there was going to be a public hearing for Circus Vargas's approval to have their event held the same weekend. So we're here tonight just to voice some concerns that we have. You want to talk about the concerns, or you want me to?
Sure.
Okay.
Yep. Again, I'm sorry, we're here representing Downey High School Football Booster Club. My name is Scott Rhodes, and so a couple of the concerns were, and Tina Hernandez. A couple of the concerns that came up were we've driven down Lakewood across from In-N-Out. They have a large parked area of trailers that seems to be encroaching upon our egress route that was requested by the city, as well as the maybe a conflict of.
Is that where, I'm sorry, on the Stonewood property, or?
It's on Stonewood property, yes.
Okay.
Yes, yep. Concern for maybe a conflict, I had to wrote it down because I couldn't remember the number. In the special event permit program 7.4.1.4, the City of Downey states commitment to support efforts to raise funds for local schools and other programs, and just having Circus Vargas run the same time that we're trying to do this fundraiser. As we went through the process to get the permit approval, it seems they have foregone that process as of yet until tomorrow evening, and so those are the concerns.
Yes, sir.
We're also concerned about city resources that are available that weekend. It's a large holiday weekend, so people are going to be out and about. We're required to have an officer on patrol to close down Marbell for our carnival traffic, so there's going to be an officer posted there. And we're also going to have a couple of officers walking our premises the entire evening that we're having our event. So those are some of our concerns. They're just city resources and the fact that they're parked where our emergency evacuation area is supposed to be. So
Could you repeat again where is your emergency evacuation?
we have two sites. We have a proposed site at the football field on the north side of Downey High School, and our emergency evacuation site is supposed to be at Stonewood Mall in the parking lot.
So it could be anywhere on Stonewood Mall?
I'm assuming that on the first, right by JCPenney and DJ's, we're anticipating that area right there.
Okay.
Now, when do you say, you said you went through, the carnival, your carnival is happening the weekend of?
The 24th through the 27th.
The 24th through the 27th.
Correct.
Which is the same time the Circus Vargas will be happening. Now, when did you say you went through the approval process to get
We
this?
started on March 1st. Our application was accepted on, I believe, April 1st, and we received approval on May 1st from the Planning Commission.
And is this something that you do on an annual basis?
Yes, this is our 8th year.
So, and you go through the same approval process?
We go through the same approval process.
Every year?
Correct.
I think
could I just interject a little bit? Since the item is pending before the Planning Commission, I would caution the council not to make any comments about this until the Planning Commission has made a decision. There are appeal rights that do come to you, and any comments you make before that appeal comes before you could disqualify you from hearing an appeal. So I would encourage you to come tomorrow night and address these exact remarks to the Planning Commission, so those get into the administrative record. And they could consider those tomorrow as they deliberate on the permit.
We will be here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good
Yes,
evening. My name is Mary Beth Eves, and I'm here with my sister and a neighbor on behalf of my mother and our neighborhood. My mom's 89, and we've lived in Downey for 56 years, and I guess I'm supposed to say my address. I live at 8021 Cole Street, and my mom lives at 12217 Janice, which is our family home. And we're here tonight talking about the next door neighbors. At 12213 Janice Avenue. This is a 1,500 square foot house. It has 3 bedrooms currently and 2 bathrooms, just like my mom, just like all the tract homes in there. They're currently flipped the house and they're trying to make it a 5-bedroom, 3-bedroom group home. And the group home, they won't really tell us what it is. It could be sober living, drug detox, rehabilitation, intensive outpatient therapy facility, boarding house, elder care, residential neighborhood. This will impact our neighborhood because it's a residential neighborhood, and these houses have minimal regulation or oversight. In our point of view, we have a deficiency of oversight that enables unchecked proliferation of these facilities throughout California. These are commercial services and boarding services that actively advertise, recruit, and seek paying clients from the U.S. and beyond. They don't have recognized protocols. They don't have anybody to check and balance this, right? We've investigated this. This is some of the problems that we're seeing in other neighborhoods that have allowed these 5-bedroom facilities are lack of regulation, oversight causing large disparity in quality of care, increased proportion of neighborhood homes that have traditionally been owner-occupied and now being leased or purchased for nonprofit corporations for use of addictive treatment centers or short-term sober living homes. But basically, these are businesses for profit without legislation. Multiple facilities, employees, fleets of vans, and a revolving door of customers, overcrowded dwellings, unlicensed treatment facilities posing as sober living homes in order to avoid regulations, constant turnover with new addicts arriving for treatment detox houses, as many as 6 arriving in every 3 to 5 days, approximately 300 per year. Increased traffic, constant in and out, supply trucks, delivery, frequent emergency calls, and response calls. It also generates parking issues, noise disturbances, and disturbance of the peace, secondhand smoke, ongoing drug use, not to mention the values in the houses around are diminished. I ask you tonight to help us. What can you do to protect the citizens that have been here, such as my mom for 56 years? We didn't sign up for that. That wasn't my parents' dream. I live in the community. I never moved away. I was educated here in Downey.
So, ma'am, I would say that Aldo, if you could maybe speak with her offline. Aldo, he knows that stuff inside and out, and there are some rules and regulations that would apply and maybe would not apply, but he would know that. So if you can speak with that handsome guy with the beard, he'll be able to help you out. Thank you.
And we're not allowed to engage in questions and answers. That's also why we're just sitting here. Don't think we're just not paying attention. Okay.
Because this is serious to us.
Absolutely.
I don't want my 89-year-old mother. Sorry. I don't want my 89-year-old mother subject to this in her last years, right?
Absolutely.
I can't protect her if you allow this to go through. I mean,
So the first step is that guy.
okay.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Yes, my name is Anthony Wright, and I live a few doors south of Buffy there. And what she has not alluded to yet was the illegal modification of that property. There's a whole basket full of work that's been done and not one permit taken. I'm hoping that the city can at least take a look at it and see what's right.
Yes, sir. He'd be the guy to talk to as well.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, Assistant City Manager, and staff, good evening. My name is John Lacey.
Sir, welcome.
Thank you. I respect the right of people to stand in front of you and with the freedom of speech, what they have for 5 minutes. I've noticed in the last several weeks that certain caliber of language has been used a little bit more stringently than before. That person has the right to say what they want to. An issue that I have with that is that sometimes there are children in the audience, children that may be watching on TV that are exposed to that. What I would possibly suggest is that the city consider making a disclaimer of saying, however you want to word it, that the persons have a right to say whatever they want to, and just be aware of it if they have children, either in the audience here or at their home, wherever they're visiting. That ends my comments, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Lacey. Thank you. Seeing there's no further speakers, non-agenda public comment is now closed. Moving on to our consent calendar. Are there any council members who would like to remove or abstain from any items?
I'm going to abstain from the minutes of July 10th, 2018, as I was out of town.
I will be.
And, sorry, and I will also, although I do not have to, I will abstain out of just an abundance of caution and perception of item number 6, as my office is near one of the streets or slurry seals. Although I do not have to, I will.
I will be abstaining from all the meeting minutes from 2018, as I was not in office at the time.
John? No, Blanca? I will be abstaining from the minutes from April 10th, 2018. And I'll also be abstaining from item number 6, because my residence is 500 feet of that impacted area. Is there a motion or second to approve consent calendar?
Public comment.
Public comment?
Excuse me, pardon me. Public comment. Any comments in the public consent calendar items? Of course.
Gently speaking, there are children. Don't we all love children? Shouldn't children know that Measure R local funds of $400,000 is to rehab a capital improvement project, and that there should be included additional appropriations? Why can't we get those numbers right? Why are we double dipping with additional appropriations? Then we talk about SB1, $300,000 under attachment C. If you look at the picture in the book of the slurry seal, Mr. Rick Rodriguez is right. He lives in the area. So why is the mayor's district getting slurry sealed first, but yet Mr. and Mrs. Pacheco, we have not received any slurry seals, let alone you haven't fixed the problem of stagnant water. Ms. Pacheco, you're the only woman so far who has not spoke up against the mayor. Are you afraid of the mayor? Then I want to see improvements for slurry seals. Mr. Mayor, I have the floor.
I know. Could you please refer to me, please?
I'm trying
Not
to
Ms. Pacheco.
redirect myself
Okay, thank you, but
to
go ahead.
Taboo
Carry on.
or Tabo Construction, who's accepted the $5,961.81 in change, versus Taliku, $4,940,000 in change. So what would you decide, public? What is the best, lowest bid? Well, let's take into account, again, regarding Downey Library. Downey Library now is being postponed for another year. And your children, my children, our children of Downey have to go outside of the community to rent a computer. Rent a computer to do their homework.
Mommy, can you take me to the library in Cerritos? The gentleman speaker says they got a 3-story mansion there and it's beautiful. And if you go on a Thursday, you get to see the Cerritos Consul in action. Versus Armando Herman, for the record.
But, again, $230,000 and $356 and change for CIP, capital improvement. What's the change order now? Efficiency on the quality of life of infrastructure? Or is it to balance the leftover money of $37,150 of reallocated monies from Measure S? Somewhere in the guidelines here, the police chief is getting the dead end of this stick. You put a stick out with the carrot, you draw in the attention you want. I want the police chief to get a brand new Maserati so he can speed up and down Downey from Rosecrans to Downey and Firestone to prove my point. The chief of police needs a new ride. And I want the new police chief to ride in a style that classifies him as a dignified man for the efficiency and quality of life issues of infrastructure to prove my point. That the infrastructure off of Firestone that is unraveling and can issue a safety concern of mine is this. When someone slips and falls, a bike rider falls off and cracks his head against the curb, or some car runs off the side there because it can't control its vehicle, I blame it on you. I blame it on Mr. Livas for allowing the 4 years of that nice infrastructure on Firestone between Paramount to Lakewood to unravel and become a security problem. Your safety, the safety of all residents in Downey, beware. In front of Portals, the street is coming apart. There's been no infrastructure to at least repair the issue for now, time being, but yet the mayor will slurry seal his residents because that's the way the dollar rolls. And then on another issue, on item 15 of the administrative report, I plan to be heard, Mr. Mayor. Stop censoring me. Stop avoiding my concerns on the issues of opinion. Besides that, on public hearing, you skipped item 2. Now I can't talk about the block grant and the home investment. I demand a motion for you to pull it back and put it into the next council hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Herman. Anyone else? So is there a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar?
Second.
Please vote.
The consent calendar was approved with Mayor Rodriguez abstaining from the meeting minutes of April 10, 2018, and item number 6. Councilmember Saab abstaining from minutes of July 10, 2018, and item number 6. And Councilmember Frometa abstaining from all 2018 meeting minutes.
There's one administrative report tonight. Introduced an ordinance of the City Council in the City of Downey amending Downey Municipal Code Article 2, Chapter 1, Section 2105, regulating the rules and conduct for City Council meetings as they relate to public comment. Assistant City Manager Ascui, who's giving this report? Number 15.
Mr. Mayor, the city attorney will deliver the report. Mr. Mayor, the city attorney will make the presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Assistant City Manager. Mayor and Council, this is an item that proposes certain amendments to the rules of conduct for the City Council meetings as they specifically relate to public comment periods. The ordinance proposes to change the agenda format by creating 2 public comment periods. The first comment period would be for members of the public to comment on any agenda items. So that would be items that were listed on the consent calendar and anything that was listed under the administrative reports. And then the second comment period would be for the public to comment on items not on the agenda, but are within the city council's jurisdiction. So the main change would be to consolidate the agenda item public comments into one period. That would be placed near the beginning of the agenda, and the change would keep the 5-minute time limit the same. It would, what this would do, would essentially eliminate the need to ask for public comment for each item as you consider it, including the consent calendars. So that would be essentially the change. There were some, the non-agenda public comment period would stay the same, except the proposal is just to simply move it further down into the agenda after administrative reports. But again, it would be 5 minutes, and it would be for non-agenda public comments. And the reason we put it towards the end was only because if we did the 2 public comment periods, one after the other, my thought was there could be some likelihood of confusion. Some folks would want to comment on agenda items during the non-agenda public comment and vice versa. So just to avoid the confusion, we separated the two different places on the agenda. Again, that is just a proposal. If you want to propose something different, we could change the agenda order in any way that you feel comfortable, but that's just that was just the reasoning behind putting agenda public comments first, and then the non-agenda public comments after you've finished your agenda, after admin reports. There were some other changes to clarify that the mayor has discretion to rearrange the agenda. It goes without saying, but it's always better to include it in the agenda, in the meeting rules. And one last point I wanted to make was for items that are public hearings, the public comment period has to remain in those public hearings. So we have to call for public comment for public hearing items, because when we do a public hearing, usually the items relate to some kind of due process, some property rights, more specifically when you hear appeals on planning commission decisions, we always have to ask for public comment under law. So the public hearings will always have a public comment period for just those items. When we do have public hearings, we don't have public hearing all the time. Otherwise, it would be 2 public comment periods, one for agenda items and one for non-agenda items. One last thing, so I don't forget, is that the rules are written such that you have lots of discretion to reopen public comment period for agenda items as you see fit. For example, you might find there's a lot of speakers who came into the chambers after the period for agenda item public comment took place, so such that they missed it. If you see that, you always, under our rules, have the discretion to reopen public comment to allow those folks to speak when you consider that item. So
Who has the discretion?
the council has the discretion.
We have, but does it have to
Council or
be?
the
The
mayor?
mayor. The mayor,
Exactly, the mayor. So what if the mayor doesn't want to and one of the councils want to?
3 members of the council can overrule the mayor,
Well,
okay?
Okay.
isn't-
Well,
And that's never, in my experience,
Right,
that's
but-
never been a problem. I think everyone up here realizes the importance of fairness and transparency and allowing people to speak. And I've never seen that as a problem, to reopen public comment to allow folks to speak on an item if they missed the comment period. We've done that.
Concern, Yvette, in moving it, the public comment to the end is precisely, as you can see tonight, we had 7 presentations, and we want to continue to have an open community and really engage our residents to come forward and speak. And so when, again, like you said, it is at the discretion of the position of the mayor, but we want to invite in-community residents to be open, but a lot of times they don't necessarily understand the rules of the game or the rules of engagement. And so coming in and waiting until the very end, like tonight, it's 8:37, that may be a negative, or it might appear a negative perception for our community. It is open, we're putting it all the way to the end. And so I like the idea, but at the same time, I'm concerned that it's beginning at the end.
If that's a concern, if you go to the sample agenda that I prepared for you, where I put it at the end, if you give the city clerk direction where you want it, instead of there, if you want it sooner, earlier, all we would need is direction from you is where you'd like it in the agenda, where you'd like it placed. The ordinance itself does not address where non-agenda public comment should be. I left it open so that you'd have the flexibility, but if you have a specific idea where you would like it, I think it would help the city clerk when she prepares the agenda, so she knows where to put it and what order to put it in the agenda, if that were something you'd want to do. I have one proposal, you can just direct her with a different proposal. We would just need that direction, but we need not do anything. The ordinance could be introduced the way it is.
I think the whole idea was to streamline the process so we're not going back and forth. That's the idea. And I think the way that Yvette's proposed it, it gives the flexibility for us to make those adjustments where we feel we see fit.
But I think we have that flexibility now. The mayor can has the right to change the agenda at discretion now. So I don't see where there's a change there. When I was mayor, at times, and we've all done it up there, we've changed the non-agenda public comment to the beginning or to the end. Mm-hmm. It just, you kind of gauge the audience and what we, depending on the issues that particular night. So I don't see where that's any benefit. There's no difference. I don't get it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't? Thanks.
That was a dog speaking.
I mean, we're talking about non-agenda public comment, but the fact of the matter is, if the mayor tomorrow said, I want to move it to the end, he can move it to the end, the way it is right now.
Yeah, the current rules say that non-agenda public comment has to appear after public hearings. What I did was put the agenda, the comment period for agenda items, that comes after public hearing, because you must, under the Brown Act, have public comment on agenda items before you take action on your agenda items. So what I did was just put agenda items, public comment there, and then move the non-agenda item, public comment items at the end. But again, you're right, the mayor does he could move non-agenda public comment and do it earlier.
Yeah.
So Mr. Mayor, if I may, so like I understand why you thought, or why that you set it up this way. I just have a concern with, and I don't think it was intentional. I think it's just going to be an unintended consequence of putting the non-agenda public comment at the end of the meeting. It would just it looks bad on our part, just kind of saying it's not important for us until the end of the meeting, as well as it can create a hardship on some people who want to come for to speak in front of us. So I personally, I appreciate the thought and the planning that went into it, but I think that even if we had both of them next to each other, the two comment periods next to each other, there would be some issues with somebody not speaking in the right part. I think we can get over that. I think it'd be a lot harder to get over the fact that we're kind of, if we're pushing the non-agenda to the end and the negative appearance that has. So if we could possibly change that part of it at least.
But it's more than just a non-agenda public comment.
Well, no, I get that. The other part I'm generally okay with, because I think that kind of would, we're giving, for the non-agenda is pretty much not being touched other than the location. But the consent calendar, that's just going to be one period where everybody can talk about whatever's on, whatever administrative report or consent calendar. To me, that kind of makes sense, as opposed to, well, can I talk at this time for this item or this time for that item? So I think the streamlining part of that makes perfect sense. That way, it's not, this point in time, you can talk about anything on the consent calendar or the administrative report, whether it's being pulled or not. That way, people, so it's not a question of, do I talk now, do I not talk now? I think that streamlines, and I like that part of it.
The only thing is, so for example, we're having this discussion now, it's an administrative report. There wouldn't be an opportunity to do a public comment unless one of us, the three of us voted or the mayor decided to open it up, correct?
Correct.
So I just find it a little, initially when I read it, I thought I was going to support it. And then the more I read it, I had a hard time with it. That's the problem I have, is that, so we've already voted on consent. So we're asking the public to vote on something that we're going to talk about. We're asking the public to speak on something that we're going to talk about maybe 15 minutes down the line after, the consent item is voted on. So, for example, this right now, we had consent and we have administrative report, right? So there would be one public comment for both those items.
Correct.
When will we take public comment? After?
You would take public comment for agenda items before you took action and/or discussed consent calendar items and administrative reports.
So at this point, we wouldn't have voted on the consent. We wouldn't have voted on consent. We wouldn't have done. So how does it going to work as far as making the motion? I'm just confused.
So you would, it might be easier if you look at the draft agenda
I
that I prepared.
I didn't get it.
So you would run down your agenda, you do your public hearings if you had any, and then after that, you'd ask for public comment for agenda items. That would include the consent calendar and the administrative report. Once the comments were provided by the public, you'd close your public comment period, and then you would just run through your agenda items without asking any further public comment unless you felt you needed to reopen.
See, that's the problem I have. It seems so bifurcated. It seems like, okay, we went through consent calendar, those 10 items, sometimes there's 15 items, 20 items, and then we have a discussion. We may or may not have a discussion about those items. Then we're going to go through an admin report. Sometimes there's 2-3 admin reports. And then one of us is going to make a motion on the whole thing, or we're going to open it up, and then the public's going to comment about maybe item number 2 on the consent. And
No. You've already taken public comment up before you run through your consent and your admin report. You've already done the public comments and fielded all those comments from the public. Then after you've closed that, then you would run through all of your agenda items and would not ask for any more public comment. Again, unless there was some specific need to reopen, but you would just run through those items without asking for public comment.
I'm not saying it's perfect what we have, but I just don't think it's broken. I don't think it's broken. Yes, we have certain speakers that tend to use a foul language, and I think my concern has, and I'm sure all of our concerns, is whether that chills the desire of people to come up and speak, because I've had many people have said, I don't know how you guys do it, I had to leave, it was terrible. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I mean, it's free speech. I mean, we can't control it. So that's the only thing. I just feel like it's a little bit convoluted. I understand what the mayor and city attorney were trying to do. I don't think this solves it. I think this, unfortunately, has as Councilman Ashton said, an unintended consequence, and it's going to. Although we all know that everyone, none of us want to do that or chill speech, but I think it may, and unfortunately, I think that. I think when we have, there's doubt that speech may be affected, and because I'm still not really, I guess I don't know if I'm just confused. I just rather veer on the side of, of protecting free speech. So I don't know.
So I had a quick question.
Maybe I'm just don't seeing it. When I first saw it initially, I know I did speak to our city attorney, and I thought I understood it, and then when I got the report, I saw it differently.
So I had a question. What happens if after the administrative report, people have questions? So my concern is, say for instance, there's a report provided, and then you have members in the audience that have questions. I know we can reopen it, but I wonder if it makes more sense to have another public comment period after the administrative report.
But that would be the same we have now.
That's exactly what we have
True,
now.
but at the same time, regarding the agenda items, speakers would only have one time, 5 minutes, versus if we pulled an item, speakers would be able to speak on that item. And my understanding of this is that speakers would only have one time. Even if we pulled it, they wouldn't be able to speak again about that item. That's my understanding. So instead of potentially it being 20 minutes, if we pulled multiple items, it would just be 1 5-minute. But my concern is regarding the administrative reports. What happens if members from the audience have questions after the report is provided?
You would reopen the public comment if you wanted to.
So we would have to reopen
That
it.
would be the way
It
you'd
would be
handle
it would be up to the mayor.
So I guess the idea, I go back to what I said initially. The idea was to streamline the city council meeting so it's more efficient and more effective. That was my goal, and consulting with our city attorney. How do we do this? We waste, there's sometimes 35, 45 minutes because so much of gibberish goes on in public comment. So how do we streamline it, but still allow the public to hear and have still the opportunity to open it anytime you want? There's never been a time earlier, as one of the speakers was directing towards Blanca, they redirect. I said, you're right. We always seem to agree that 50 personality needs to be present here at the dais. If there's an issue, I think that we'd say, look, let's reopen it. My whole goal was, let's streamline this thing, let's be more efficient. It's not efficient the way it operates now, because we're allowing just too much gibberish going on and on and on.
But I think part of the problem is and I don't want to use the word problem, but it's the presentations, right? We didn't start tonight till 8 o'clock. So we did get an email today, and I think there's something to think about there. We got it from Mr. Heyman, Brian Heyman. I think we all have copies of, and it's just something to discuss. Maybe we should consider consolidating the presentations to one meeting a month, or doing it at 5:30 on the first Tuesday of the month, and then that might make it, because a lot of people they just want to come to the presentation, and it's presentations, they don't really care about the meeting, right? So it's kind of unfair, right, to the people that do want to come to the meetings, or vice versa. I mean, I don't know. That might be something to think about. And then that way, maybe the other meeting we have later in the month, or the rest of the meeting, assuming it starts at 6:30, we have an hour presentations. We start business right at 6:30. I mean, that might be a saying that making it efficient. I don't know. I mean, it's just, I think it's worthy of a discussion.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, we talked to some of our colleagues on other councils. They have meetings that run till, midnight. 10, 11, midnight. And I think we've scratched that once or twice on just, like, serious issues. But they have them that are that late regularly. So, I mean, kind of, we're complaining in a sense. I don't want, maybe not. We're discussing something that really isn't going to be much of it. It's 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
We're going to be done pretty soon. I mean, it's not really that bad when it comes to how late it is. But I still think that there are some valid points to this, and I'm going to ask this question. I kind of have an idea where the answer is going to go, but legally wise. But Madam City Attorney, could we do this on a test run and see how it works, and then maybe do it for like 1 month, 2 meetings, and then if we like it, then we can approve it to continue? Or after that, could we, if we decide after a month that it doesn't work, and could we just decide to go back? Is that something that we could do?
Because your public comment rules are in an ordinance, you have to follow your ordinance. So doing a test run without amending the ordinance probably wouldn't work here. You'd have to change your ordinance, because your ordinance says public comment has to happen a certain way. So since it's since it's in the municipal code, you have to follow that
Oh.
way unless you do an amendment.
But we can amend the code, and then we can amend it again in another month,
Yes.
and
That you can.
that's within the realm of possibility.
Yes.
That's a little bit challenging, though. We're
No, I
asking-
get it, but
Yeah.
I'm asking, I mean, some of the
Yes.
best questions are the
It's a good
stupid ones,
question.
so.
No, that is a possibility.
No, it's a
Councilmember
good
Ash.
question, but I think that might be a little difficult, right?
No, I get it, but I had to ask.
All right, so we're going to take some public comment. You guys, anything else you want
Let's hear from the public. I think
Okay.
we've hashed
Alright.
this out enough.
to? I'll now open this item for public comment. Is there anyone at all present who wishes to speak regarding this matter?
Mayor, I'd like to submit these for the record. Thank you. See, folks, we went through it. 20 minutes of arbitration here as whether or not we cannot, or what should we do, Miss City Attorney. And Miss City Attorney put the rules down straight. The pattern and practice of most cities violate constitutional protected speech during public meetings. So, as Mr. Brian Heyman, for the record, left us his email, I'm going to read a portion of it that I found very important. He says, I can appreciate the efforts to manage the conduct of council meetings more efficiently. However, public comment delayed this way is really a public comment denied when you have too many presentations. And why are there so many presentations, ladies and gentlemen? It's so that we can air out the room and leave the short numbers behind, like the few of you that are here dedicated. Because of you. Right. Because of us. Because our council meetings should and could be reserved for matters of public interest and public concern. The UNRWA Civil Rights, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act, pro se, you cannot, you should not, and you will not discriminate against the public at public hearings. So my suggestion, and the reason why I've been a little hostile, is because a few times I come to the meeting, I was denied non-agenda public comment because it was held at a different present time. And my mind, in its darkness of madness, says, well, why can't you reopen general public? Why does it have to shut down? The big city of Los Angeles, with over 1 billion population, of course I'm exaggerating, they allow you multiple public comment in the beginning. Say what you got to say in 5 minutes and get the hell out. Then you got your one item non-agenda public comment with one consent item public comment, and that's it. 2 minutes, boom, get the hell out. And then they come up with this bullshit Rule 77, which they amended, saying that if a quorum is being disrupted by or a noise or a fart or somebody waving their hands, they give you a new rule. And that is they kick you out of a public meeting after they deny you your 2 minutes or before you get 2 minutes. So how does that work? Let's do the math. Not the Trinity way or the triad way where 1, 2, 3 make 1. No. 1 plus 1 plus another 1 is 3. The hell with the Trinidad way of thinking. I stick to one belief, one God, Mr. Mayor. And that's how I come to this conclusion. That, again, we must come with a better philosophy to cut back on these presentations. Thank you, Mr. Alex Saab. You're right. And thank you, Mr. Ashton, for weighing in on our opinions. Because this is what makes a decorum. When we got all elected officials, and I'm glad to hear my district councilwoman finally speaking up I wish she would come out to my neighborhood watch, which we haven't had in the last 2 years, to help me suppress the evil malice of why we can't have a neighborhood watch, Ms. Pacheco. Although I'm off topic, overruled because I got the floor. So, Madam Blanca Pacheco,
Herman.
please listen to this concern
Herman.
addressing, I'm going back to topic,
Thank
sir.
you. Please.
Addressing the motion here. We, the public, based on opinion on the Brown Act, the Bain Act, and the Bagley-Keene Act 2004, stop taking away our rights in public meetings.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else?
Does the speaker come in?
Nope, one more.
Yep. Or.
I'll be brief, Mr. Mayor. I like the idea of less acknowledgement of people time-wise. I understand the rationale behind acknowledging people, and it's great to do so. I think it drags out, to be honest with you, on certain things. So I would suggest maybe considering shortening that. You have the right to do so.
Yes, sir.
Also, I like the idea of possibly shortening the time from 5 to 4 minutes or whatever.
Amen, brother.
And also to give the people, I would suggest, I like the idea of moving the public comment section as close in as when you start the program to allow of maximum flexibility of more people to feel comfortable to talk. That ends my comments, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Pierce?
Good evening. Eric Pierce, editor of the Downey Patriot newspaper, 8301 Florence Avenue. I've actually never addressed the city council before in my 17 years with the Patriot, but free speech and addressing the council is something to take really very seriously. I think if the goal is to streamline city council meetings, I think shortening the presentations is a good first step. It takes 1-2 hours until we get to the meat of the meeting. Sometimes I think we forget what the point of the city council meeting is, which is to conduct the city business. Today, the city council awarded so many contracts and authorized so many really important items on the agenda, which is really what I think the focus should be. And with all due respect to the mayor, I think what one person considers gibberish is really important to another person. And so I think it's really difficult to, when we start judging what's important and what isn't, it's a really slippery slope. So I don't know what the answer is, but I just want to emphasize, I think giving the public the right to speak and to address their representatives on the city council is very important. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Move to close.
Okay, so is there a motion second to introduce this ordinance?
Second?
Please vote.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
No, that was for public comment, I think.
No, it was just exactly what I read. You guys are the one that said public comment. I didn't ask to close public comment. They'll need it.
I said move to close comment.
Because there's no need to have a motion to close public comment. I asked, is there a motion second to introduce this ordinance? That's what I asked.
Okay, I don't get it.
Okay.
If
So
there was a
basically,
motion
we're
and a
voting.
second to close the
No,
public
I don't-
comment,
we-
you got to
we still
take that
discuss-
one.
We still want to discuss it.
Okay, let's
Mayor?
discuss it.
Okay.
Mayor, I need to announce that we did receive an email from Brian Heyman
Okay.
in opposition of the proposed ordinance.
Okay, thank you. All right, discuss.
Okay.
So I think one thing that is kind of been made clear is the presentations we do at the beginning are at times can be a little bit lengthy, and granted, I sat in your seat, Mr. Mayor, and it's tough when everybody wants to get recognized for something, and you want to recognize certain people,
And we should.
and it's tough to balance that out. So we're not going to put that into the code, obviously, but I still think that there are parts of this that I think will help streamline, and I think just having the two, the non-agenda and then the consent, I think that part of it is valid. I think having the non-agenda at the very end, I think is a bad idea, and I think we should have that closer to or pretty much in about the same area where it's now, right after the public hearings. But that's my opinion.
So I was thinking this, if this may be an option, maybe putting the public comment non-agenda items before the presentations. So doing that first, then the presentations, and then the public comment on agenda items.
Mhm.
And that way there's no confusion.
Yes, that's an option.
But are we, are you done, Ms.
Yes.
Sorry. But we're still taking away 5 minutes in a theory from the public. Any way you slice it, once again, maybe I'm reading this wrong, I still think that it's taking away, a few opportunity or more than one opportunity from the public to speak. And, I think the last speaker was right. I mean, who are we to judge what's qualifies as, gibberish, free speech, whatever you want to call it. I mean, to one person it may be, to us it may be just jargon. To another person it may be, the most important thing to say in their life. So I mean, what I'm trying to say is I have real concerns about this, because I think that there's definitely a consequence of reducing the amount of time people are able to speak. And at the end of the day, that's we signed up for this. We have to sit here and take it. We, two of us and now three of us have sat up there, and yeah, it's not fun for, if you want to say it. We all have a different tolerance level. Honestly, it didn't really bother me, but I think we're also running into the risk that we are modifying our policies and the way we run things, which I don't think there's a problem, based on one person's behavior. And that's kind of not good. That's not good to change the way we do things, because one thing, look, let's face it, the only reason we're having this discussion is because somebody, we're not gonna name any names here, is probably, saying things, cussing and saying things that shouldn't, and because we see the reaction from the public, and that they get bored here. It shouldn't take as long as
and
it
because
should.
of that, we're going to minimize. Look, I'm not disagreeing with you guys. Cut down the presentation to 2 or 3. Now we're making allowance for the bad instead of the good. That was my point. That was my point. Free speech is free speech. I get it. But you got one guy out there that wants to cuss and rant and rave and yell and raise his voice. But now we got to make allowances because he has to be honored with his free speech. Wonderful. But I'll cut back on presentations of people doing good things in our city. Now that's what we're making an allowance. We're making an allowance for one guy that wants to voice his opinion and say bad words for everybody.
I don't see the connection.
Why, how can you not see connection?
I don't
we're trying to streamline and be more efficient.
Well, what does
So
7
it's-
presentations have to do with one person that's doing?
It's guaranteed. That's 5 more minutes. He's gonna come.
We started at 8 o'clock. It had nothing to do with the public speaker. It had nothing to do with the public.
You've had how many public speakers since that time? Since 8 o'clock.
But we started at 8. What did it have to do with the public speaker? It did the non-agenda public comment or anything that came up. Nothing. We didn't start till 8 o'clock. So I don't know. I mean, we're going to disagree. It sounds like, but personally, I think we have it fine the way it is. I think if we want to try something out, maybe we could start doing the presentations at 5:30. We could maybe consider moving when we do have or 6, and when we do have closed session, we could do it at 4:30. Earlier, if jobs permit. I mean, I know we all have different jobs, but and try it that way. I recently went to a meeting in Los Alamitos, and they do it an hour before. Everybody knows the hour before is all about presentations. It gets packed, families come, and then the business starts at whatever time it was, 6 or 6:30. I mean, that's something that we might want to consider.
I like Mayor Pro Tem Pacheco's suggestion, again, without necessarily touching our current ordinance, is having the open comment maybe before the presentations. Because, again, I think we want to not penalize, on one hand, the people that are recognizing the people that are doing good for our community, and at the same time, we want to encourage and continue to support and elevate the free speech in our community. And we don't want to be making concessions and rewarding certain type of behavior.
But we are doing that because, to the mayor's point, if you do that, you can have an audience full of little kids out here, and you can have people dropping the F-bomb, which is going to be, it's not good, right? I mean, I know that's what the mayor is probably intending to avoid, right?
Exactly right. That's
we all
exactly
are. So that's the problem with doing it that way.
So then,
Because
let's look at the idea of
whole problem.
presentations. Let's look at the idea of presentations, and maybe or do it
I don't know
earlier
what
might
the
be-
answer is, but
yeah, maybe that's
but because doing a comment period with everyone, I mean, it's
okay. So
Well,
Yvette,
it's going to be
what's the right?
I mean, you broached a really interesting way of doing it that I think might really be the solution if we think about it right. Have like 6:30. Not changing necessarily time, but say 6:30 is presentation time,
You mean
whatever.
6 o'clock.
Or whatever time, and then on the agenda it's a presentation time at this time, meeting time at let's say 8 o'clock or what just I'm not saying it in stone, but just having it on the agenda at those times so people know. And so we're not violating any laws as far as not letting people know when a certain point is, but we accomplish the getting through the presentations in a environment where people are excited to be here and get their certificates. And then when it comes to the business of the city, we're not saying, okay, well, we're recessing and then you guys can leave. Like, they know that time, this is the meeting time, and we'll start the meeting at 8 o'clock or so, whatever time we put on the agenda, but we start it there and we run it like that. And then that way, there's those two distinct times where we don't have to worry about somebody who enjoys using colorful language dropping F-bombs in front of a house of children, a group of children. They can do that in an adult environment, I guess, or more of an adult environment, at the meeting time at a later time. I think that's a good idea.
Mr. Mayor,
Please.
if I may offer something. Obviously, this is a very important, sensitive issue that needs to be considered. We heard a lot of good comments and good input from different members of the council. There was, quite frankly, a number of options that was presented, like the example of Los Al, which I've seen in other cities as well, that we had not considered and put into your packet today to be considered. So if I may suggest to continue this conversation.
Wait, that's a good idea.
It's important to have some samples for you that identifies time limits and timelines of when the meeting is going to start, when we're going to have a certain segment of the meeting. It's important for you to see that. So if we can bring back this item to you with some clear examples and different options for you to consider, I think that would be something that we can ponder on.
Yeah.
Having said that, though, just so we have a little bit of direction, does anyone oppose that idea as being one of the options? Is having what Sean and I were talking about?
The presentations at the front.
Yeah, maybe doing closed session, maybe starting it at 5. I don't know if you guys' job permits. If we need, if not, you could do a closed session half an hour only, right? And then if we need it, we could always come back at the end of the meeting. So you do like closed session 5 if needed. 5:30 starts presentations. And the fact is, sometimes all 5 of us don't have to be here, right? One of us has work and come in late. Heavens knows
we haven't had a closed session item in the last.
Right.
Week,
So
we don't have that
so
always,
if you if you can't be here for work, one of us, you come at 5:45, 6, whatever. And then we keep the meetings at 6:30, but from 5:30 to 6:30, you do the presentation. Because I don't want to show the presentations. I keep saying presentations. I don't want to show the presentations. I don't want to show the presentations either. There's so much good in our community, and our mayor's done a good job in recognizing and identifying that. We don't want to, at the cost of this issue that's been going on, to chill that. So I think that would be a good, and then maybe we can toy the idea of maybe doing it every time or just doing it once a month, depending on what you guys see fit, or you leave it up to the discretion of the mayor in that part.
So, and that option, since the closed session, the 5:30 meeting is a special meeting, that agenda is very flexible. We could, add presentations right on there and start it at 5 versus
There you go.
5:30. And we don't need to worry about there's no ordinance that requires us to meet closed session at 5:30.
Oh, there's no,
So
okay.
that's a special meeting that
So we can always
fluctuate.
just,
Yes.
check time availability, you know.
So
with the
we could
council.
start it at 5 and add presentations to that, to where we list the closed sessions. We can add presentations there and start it at 5 instead of 5:30. If that's the,
We also have to be cognizant of the fact that a lot of times when you do the presentations at the front end, if you start too early, then that doesn't leave the folks that have to get off from work or coming here with their
Well,
children.
that's why 5:30 to 6:30, yeah.
Yeah, but I
And if
mean-
it goes a little over, it goes a little over. I mean, it's just.
I think we got the idea, though, as far as like what we would like to see in the next report from there. We can play with the times of this and that or the other, I think, once we get that. But I think, to me, I think staff's got their, what they need to get something ready for us for the next meeting in regards to this, so.
I would suggest that we keep the format the way we have now, other than the presentations, because I just don't think that's the problem. I think the problem is by the time we get to it, everyone's kind of tired because, like you said earlier, an hour and a half into it, and then you hear, a dog barking.
Yeah, that's
It
not
throws you off.
that's not the issue. I like the idea of moving the presentation to an earlier time frame. I think that's very efficient. That's very good. Again, to you, what you said earlier, I'm 100% in compliance and agree with you. It's the vulgarity, stupidity.
But there's nothing we can.
I know. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you. So let's try to manage it. That's my point. So, but to John, to your point, let's table it. The option you brought up, moving presentation up like closed session hour around that time frame. That's a great idea.
Well, and for the sake of time, can't we just vote on that tonight since it's already part of the discussion?
yes.
So we start the public
So we
30
would,
period?
yeah, so then what I'm hearing is the direction would be to add presentations and, at the 5:30 meeting. Is that right?
To start at 5:30, is that what you guys want? Or do you guys want to table it?
So
Well,
I thought we
we're
were
just
just
gonna
gonna
talk about it again
table
next
it.
time.
That was my understanding,
Say
that
again?
we were going to table it, and John would bring back
Three options
a
or so,
variety of
yeah.
ideas.
Yes,
you know,
because I do like the fact, I'm sorry to interrupt. I do like the fact that we're trying to streamline things. So I do like the fact that we're going to have 5 minutes for agenda items. Maybe at the end, maybe an option would be in regards to administrative reports. We don't always have administrative reports. Maybe we can add 5 minutes for those reports, just like we have for the public hearings.
Yeah, I would caution, the word streamline kind of makes me nervous, right? We don't want to just rush things, we want to have the public an opportunity. See, I think it's better off, we try out that 5:30 presentation, situation, and then let's see how, it works, having the business start at 6:30 sharp. And then, I think we can revisit that part, but I don't know. I have a feeling it's going to work out to our favor, just doing that presentation part at the beginning. It's going to, people are going to leave that don't really care to be here. And the kids aren't going to be here for the adult speakers. I like to use the language. And I don't know. So I'm not going to be in favor, I'll tell you right now, of removing, any time period from the public to speak. I mean, we signed to the dotted line, we're all adults, and as much as we hate it, as much as the person may sound ridiculous when they say it, who are we to judge what's appropriate and what's not? I mean, it's just.
So my issue with the timing, like starting it early, because like for us, it's one thing, but we're also dealing with, an audience of parents or other people who have jobs and that as well. And I don't know if 5:30 is a time that those people could get here. So that would be a concern of mine as well. But I think we can, ultimately, I think we're on the right path as far as the discussion in a sense. And I think if we table this now, we can come back with more, more hard numbers and go from there.
So we would continue, not table. We'll
Okay,
continue the
continue.
discussion and bring back options. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are we good?
Okay.
Okay, we'll continue. Okay.
Sounds like a circus.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, okay, so then.
Do we need a motion?
Do we need a motion to do that? We need a motion?
Well,
Please.
I'll move to continue it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. All right. Staff member comments. This is City Manager Escogui. Do you have any comments you'd like to share with the group?
Do we have to vote?
Yes.
And a vote too.
Yes.
All right.
That's a good idea. still do that, right?
Mr. Mayor?
The motion to continue the item, it was approved unanimously.
Thank you. Yes, sir, Mr. Scooey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's been an interesting evening, but I'm going to share some good news with you. Gus Andrade, our Public Works employee in the Maintenance Division, as you know, he was injured while on duty a while back. He is on the path to full recovery.
Right on. Good news.
He is going to have some appointments, and hopefully we're going to see him back here soon, sooner than later. Also, a shout out to both the fire department personnel and the library personnel. During the course of the last 2 weeks, we moved the library operation to their temporary facility, as well as fire stations number 1 and 3. As of yesterday afternoon, we are conducting the operation of 1 and 3 out of the temporary facility that we have set up. It went through without a hitch, and again, a shout out to all the employees who were involved with that. And then again, as you mentioned, tomorrow we have some ground-breaking ceremonies. We are, as staff, as your staff, very, very excited about getting these projects off the ground. So you're going to see a lot of dust flying in the next few months, and we want to thank you for your leadership and also the support of our citizens. We, as your employees, are very, very grateful for the opportunity. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Okay, adjournment. This meeting is now adjourned in the memory of Lori Gilbert Kay, victim of the synagogue shooting in Poway; Kendrick Castillo, victim of the shooting in STEM School Highlands Ranch, Colorado; Gurpreet Singh, our most recent unfortunate incident here in Downey; Evangelina Estrella, mother of Ed Estrella, Public Works City employee. Please, a moment of silence. Meeting adjourned.